Hey, so here's a cautionary tale about overpayments that can happen if one is working after they've received, and potentially before, um, beneficiary status, Social Security, disability. So here's how this one went down. And it's really, really, really unfortunate. And I'm trying to think of ways the person can best help themselves, even though they can't necessarily fully cure the whole situation. So as you know, we have SGA, substantial gainful activity, and that number is really relevant for people who are working once they become beneficiaries and are collecting Social Security disability um, after they have completed their trial work period, which they inadvertently bump into if they're working and earning over the TWP amount, which is less than the SGA amount. TWP, trial work period, SGA, substantial gainful activity. So two different numbers. So TWP, as you know from other videos, is 9 months, whatever the 9 months, wherever they fall, as long as they fall within a 5-year window, that could be moving as time goes on in your life. If you have 9 months working over trial work period, which this year in 2023 is $1,050. So if you earn over that gross, you've used up one of your trial work period months. And these are great months because they let you try to make as much as you can without losing your benefits for that month. But you get 9 of them, unless they're so spread out that the window scrolls into, a different 5-year, and some of the other ones scroll off. So now SGA. So once you're out of TWP, which is not hard to do if you're not paying attention, SGA is not necessarily hard to breach if you're not paying attention either. So it's really important that once you become a beneficiary of insurance benefits, and particularly government insurance benefits like Social Security disability that you bought, you follow the rules, and you need to know. It's not like, well, once you're found disabled, you can, work 80 hours a week and make $1 million. No, 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 right? I mean, most of us know this, but I know some people, perhaps younger people, are unaware, and they can be completely disabled, and we would all acknowledge that they are disabled, and still fall into circumstances where they are very fortunate to be able to get work that people in their position might not normally get. The blatant example could be a person in a wheelchair, bound to a wheelchair, will always be found to be of listing level disabled, and always then be able to get benefits so long as they never earn over the SGA amount. The same could be true for a statutorily blind person. And the thing about being statutorily blind, your SGA is nearly $1,000 greater than everybody else's that's disabled. There's special treatment given to the blind. I don't know why that is. One day maybe I'll have time to look it up. But the point is, it is. So you can make $2,470 a month gross before taxes at a part-time job after you've prevailed if you're blind as per the SSA, whereas everybody else in 2023 was required to not earn more than $1,470. Okay, so the incident that happened was I'm not sure how young the person was, but say legally blind since birth, had an opportunity to have an accommodated job that he became very good at, and did it seasonally, not full time. But I'm supposing in theory he could have done it full time because it was accommodated for his disability of blindness. So anyway, didn't know. I don't know how this is. To me, it can only happen if you're not reading the material that the SSA sends you when you win, And then if it didn't dawn on you that, gee, when I'm collecting insurance, I probably have to still be disabled each month. And the person might have been thinking, I'm statutorily blind since birth. That isn't changing. So I kind of get that you don't, I get it in a way that one might think they can't possibly then take away disability benefits because I'm always going to be disabled. And that's a fact, that he's always going to be disabled in terms of a listing level impairment. But remember, you also have to be unable to work and not working. So he is technically unable to work any job that exists in substantial numbers in the economy. But remember, the other prong is, and you're not earning over SGA. Because if you're earning it, it's done, So apparently during those months, say 6 months a year, this person was earning over blind SGA. So over 2460, and whatever that amount was, a lower amount in previous years, because COLA will raise that like it does most everything else, but not everything else. So now, and this is troubling, 5 years later, after annual seasonal work of this nature that hit the 6-month mark, so it couldn't even be a failed work attempt, gets a letter saying, we find that you've not been disabled since 2018. So this is like a double whammy thing. It's a warning against going over SGA and knowing what your SGA is when you win your disability claim. It's either going to be 1470, assuming it's 2023 for the non-blind, and 2460 for the blind. Okay. And then the double whammy is that the SSA apparently, now I'm getting more details later. I'm not representing the person, but I'm trying to just give him some guidance of what the options are. I'm not going to be his representative and appeal for him or anything like that. 5 years of back benefits. Now he doesn't know if they picked the right months. He doesn't know if they're aware that he didn't work the whole year. It was only like 6-7 months a year. So my advice is you got to find that out. And if the SSA doesn't give you that itemized information in quick order, which they probably won't. It took them 5 years to tell you you were ceased in 2018, and they kept sending you money, and now you're $80,000 in hock, with an overpayment. So to me, you want to appeal if you think they could be wrong. You're not sure if the $80,000 is correct, right? Because you haven't seen the itemization. They just gave you a flat out number. Then you can, if it's a hardship to pay it back, which it would be for someone making $30,000 a year or something like that. You could ask for a waiver, but then you have to prove that you don't have like $500,000 sitting in the bank either. Person was working and collecting, so you'd like to think that there's some savings in the bank, but no, we get used to what we're bringing in and we think it's all kosher, and as young people we tend to spend it, right? So, and then of course the third option is ask for a affordable repayment scenario. So you'll have a bill for eons and eons, but it might be doable, like $50 a month, or 100 or 25, or I've heard it even going down to 10, but that might be for SSI people. The other, I suppose, triple whammy is he's been ceased. So what I think happened was, and they're not saying you're not listing level blind anymore. They're not saying that. But remember, with trial work period, once that trial work period is over, so whenever that 9th month hits, whether it's 2 years into your working or whenever, the very next month starts your extended period of eligibility. That lasts for 36 months. So the month after you end your trial work period, you start your EPA. The first month within that 36 months that you earn over SGA, you are not entitled to the benefit you received that month when you earn that SGA. Now, I've said this before, SSA is not in real time. So you might have even sent them a letter saying, by the way, I'm going to be earning this, this, and this, and this for these months. I foresee it now. So, I'm not going to be due those benefits. That sits in someone's inbox, presumably. And then they have a bunch of little fingers in there trying to figure out and all agree that, oh, that means this, and this. Whatever they're doing, sometimes you don't get a response to that for a couple of years. I did recently have a a video share about something that came out like 2 weeks ago, if that, where the SSA is potentially coming up with a methodology where that delay between knowing the person works too much to curbing his overpayments by not paying him will happen much faster. And I hope that's the case, because I know these overpayments are horrible for people. And of course, I'm guessing the SSA gives a lot of waivers too. So it's horrible for the taxpayers and the other beneficiaries whose fund is now getting depleted because inappropriate funds went to the wrong people accidentally, right? So anyway, going back to it, EPE, every month that he earned over SGA, which was probably 6 or 7 months a year, are now owed back for those 3 years. So let's say that was 2018, 2019, and 2020. Or maybe it was 2015, 2016, 20, I'm not sure. I just know they say he was ceased in 2018, 5 years later, they tell him. And so he owes all the monies from the last 5 years. I'm thinking he did the EPE, he didn't get booted because he couldn't be medically booted because he's permanently legally blind. That's not coming back, right? No inventions yet to fix that. So when his EPE was over, and how the rule works is the first month you earn SGA after your EPE is over, you are done. You're going to be ceased. So that EPE gave you some protections. It was like, well, you can, if you just won't get paid for the SGA months that you work during EPE. But the month after these 36 months, if you earn SGA, you're done. If you don't, you continue indefinitely until you do earn SGA. Okay. So I think what happened was he was doing all this stuff, and I understand they were reporting it. And of course, the IRS reported it because he dutifully paid his taxes. But again, SSA acts in very belated timeframes. So this is why everyone who's a beneficiary needs to stay on top of their own situation and just understand the rules. There's really only a few rules to know. You could have them listed on your fridge and then just find a job that fits it and then don't change it. And if you're going to get a new job, go through the rules again and make sure everything is kosher. So I'm thinking that it was like right after 2018, this person did an SGA month at this very accommodated job. It doesn't exist in substantial numbers, but he earned the income. That's the black and white rule, right? And he should have been ceased closer in time to that by the SSA, but they didn't. And now we're in end of 2023. So it's ugly, right? One thing he can do is go through every month, find out exactly what he grossed each month. Look at those pay stubs. Or, if you can get the whole listing from your employer, great. Or maybe it's a 1099. Actually, I think it might be a 1099. And if it is 1099, and we were just emailing, but I think when I have this conversation shortly, I'm going to bring this up. Like, in addition to IRWE's, impairment-related work expenses that could be deducted off of that gross income to bring you down, could you also, if it's 1099, that means you're self-employed. Did you write off business expenses? I mean, if a person doesn't know about the rules with SSA when they're a beneficiary, maybe they don't know about the way that when you're 1099, you were self-employed. And if you don't get a 1099, but you earn money from somebody, you're self-employed and you need to report that money, whether it's on a 1099 or not. So I'm wondering if maybe he didn't. I mean, your cell phone, if you're, have a client who gives you jobs to do and you're making money, you're going to have a cell phone that you need for that job. You could have a home office so you can keep all of your affairs in order. I don't know if internet would be involved. Let's say it's a physical job like construction. Do you have to have your own hammer and things like that? Do you have other goggles and helmet that you have to provide yourself? Do you have to commute to a job location? And if so, mileage. There's a lot of things we have to talk about. Again, I'm not representing, that's not my plan, but I do want to help him. If he wants to help himself, you got to go through your month by month income. You got to do a lot of paperwork here. People go, oh my God, I'd have to get 5 years of banking information. Well, yeah, if you care about the $80,000 or not. I mean, I've done it a million times. Well, not a million, that's an exaggeration, but I've done it myself numerous times for other things where I had to go month by month. I even spreadsheet them. I mean, and it isn't even for me. So I'd like to think that someone who's not cognitively in serious decline would do the same for themselves. Okay. You can hire a data entry person to do it for you at, $20, $25 an hour. I probably have someone who would do it for you for that. But otherwise, you're just going to do it yourself. Figure out what those monies were. See what can be deducted each month for those legal deductions you can take before getting to see. And then what your bottom line is your income. And is that now lower than the SGA amount you're subject to? So anyway, I think that's my meeting on this starting, but I just wanted to fill you in on something because you guys need to really pay attention so we don't see these overpayments. Okay. All right. I will chat with you soon. Bye now.